in the wake of everything that just happened in Athens, I thought that we would begin with Georgia and Tennessee. So, Tom, before we get to impact, and obviously tomorrow's top 25 today will let us also talk about some CFP and playoff implications. Let's just talk about the football here.
Sure.
Dude, I know. I mean, apparently the football. It's crazy that we would talk about that. Do you think that Georgia coming in with all of their as imperfect as they were, did they change your mind tonight? Or are you just impressed with like the way that they played in this particular game?
It's weird. Did they change my mind? That's a tough question to answer because I felt like they were still capable of winning a national title.
The ceiling, they were imperfect, but the ceiling was
still. Tonight was an excellent reminder of what they are capable of when they're not messing around and turning the ball over, and when they kind of stick to what makes them good. Like, I felt like that was a Mike Bobo, I hear the haters game. You know what I mean? Like, they were really deliberately figuring out ways to get the ball to their tight ends, whether it was Urasek or Dope. They combined for 9 catches, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. The run game, still not, I think, where they would want it to be. Like, Frazier had a decent night, and Carson Beck was able to help out with his legs, but overall, just not terrific. I think the injury.
I mean, we're working Dylan Bell into the backfield.
Yeah.
We're doing like anything we can do to try to make it
happen.
They
were trying. They were trying to figure out things to do, and it still wasn't working. That could be, that's a problem. But if that's the only problem they have, like they had tonight, then you're probably going to be pretty good against most teams that you face. And I think so. The game plan, getting the tight ends back involved, much more successful vertically in the passing game, I felt, than they have been. And I think a big part of that was just Carson Beck looked like Carson Beck from last year, like towards the end of last season, the guy that we were kind of all getting hyped up about. I don't know, what the hell happened to him this week, but I guess maybe he just got out of whatever funk he was in. Maybe somebody swiped right and he got, he was feeling good about himself. But like 25 of 40.
He's a taken man now, okay?
25 of 40, 347, 2 touchdowns, and he just looked good. Like, even he looked better in the pocket. He looked like he was handling pressure better than he has been. He wasn't panicking. He was taking what was there, and he was also taking deep shots and being aggressive. I feel like that was probably, obviously maybe in one of their non-conference games, they looked incredible, but I didn't really watch them all that close. As far as the SEC play is concerned, I think that might have been their most complete game of the year.
Totally agree with Tom. I think the reason Carson Beck, excuse me, I think the reason Carson Beck looked as good as he did, he wasn't touched. Georgia shuffled the offensive line. They moved Freeling from right to left. They shuffled a couple things on the inside, and Tennessee had 2 tackles for loss the entire night. No sacks, almost no hits on Beck. I mean, Beck scrambled a little bit, but honestly, like the one nice scramble he had, it wasn't like he was under a ton of pressure. He just realized man coverage and they were running crossers and they had guys that followed. And I mean, just the ability for him to sit back there and dissect. The one throw he makes for the first touchdown, that's a nice throw. It's also really has a lot of the characteristics of the super risky throws that he had been making and not getting away with earlier in the season. So, I mean, was he way different tonight than he had been in previous weeks? In some ways, yeah. But I think a lot of that is attributable to the fact that he just was not pressured. Georgia's offensive line beat Tennessee's defensive line. Not physically whipped him in the run game, but they protected Carson beautifully. Like, Tennessee got 0 pressure on Carson Beck all night. And we knew that Tennessee, especially once Peely went down, their backers were susceptible in coverage. And we knew the secondary was not great. It's a secondary you could win a national title with, but not because of. And you could hide it if the defensive line was getting pressure like it had been doing for a lot of the season. Tonight, they didn't get it, and they lose. To me, it is. I just kept where's Pierce? Where's Norman Lott? Where's Thomas getting pressure up the gut on Beck? And it wasn't to be found. Nice job.
Are you in on the nice job, Bobo?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, did they really do that much different stuff here? Honestly, the one little tight end follow screen they did coming out of the first quarter endings, being in the second quarter out of a TV timeout, it got called back for a hold. But I thought that was pretty creative. But the other stuff, they always try to scheme open shots to Arian Smith in big games early in the game. You know it's coming. If you bet Arian Smith overs, generally you got a pretty good idea. Like, okay, this is going to hit or not hit, like midway through the second quarter. Because they're trying to get him wide open on some play action stuff. I thought he called I definitely don't think he called a poor game, but almost anything you call is going to work if you just keep all the pressure off the quarterback. Like he was not touched, and that was Tennessee was just stoned by Georgia.
And to your earlier point, Tom, the reason why I offered a really big head nod is that Kirby Smart was just here in that post game, and he was very intentional about saying our quarterback, our offensive coordinator, like the question was about Carson Beck setting it up before we throw to Carson Beck with Laura Rutledge. And the answer for Holly Rowe was like, yeah, our quarterback, our offensive coordinator. It was very clear that everybody inside that building has been hearing the criticism and the complaints. And I don't know if this placates all of the analysis about their shortcomings along the way, but a massive win for anything that Georgia wants to accomplish this season. You had to have this game. And so good on the Bulldogs for that. What about the Tennessee side?
Defense, pass rush, as Bud was mentioning, got completely stonewalled. It was just non-existent. And when that's not working for them, it's hard for them to win anywhere else. And then offensively, it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Nico's either overthrowing the receiver or he's hitting them in their hands and they're dropping it. It's like there's just no consistency in their passing game. It's like anytime they complete a pass, it feels like a small miracle just happened. And there were some nice, easy throws, but there were also times where, like, he had guys wide open, not wide open, but he had them open and he was just throwing them high and missing them. And then there were other times where he was just kind of hitting them in the hands. Like I said, they would drop them. Like, it's just, I don't know what's going on with them at this point in time. If it's just mental where there's just like these dropsies going on every single time, but it's hard to beat a team like Georgia when you can't consistently catch a football.
I was a little surprised at how much pressure up the gut Georgia got on Tennessee. They also did a nice job with some of the defensive line movement stuff that they do to get you to jump. Tennessee had 2 jumps on the night on that, and it just they didn't look super comfortable even when they didn't jump. And I think that gives you a bit of like a more oomph on your pass rush, if you will, if the O line's just kind of jittery because you're moving around a bunch. So that's why you do it. And I thought they were very effective in doing so.
The rest of the way for Tennessee, there's not a lot that they can do to change their future. I mean, just try
win, baby.
Just win, baby. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. Again, we'll get to the ranking side of this, but there's an SEC side of this too. And I was playing around with.
The answer is I have no idea.
Oh, have you found the generator?
Mm-hmm.
There's a generator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You want to give the guy a shout out?
Do you have his Reddit username?
No, the page that I've been using is bball.notnothing.net /
Yeah, give him a shout out. So repeat that one more time. I didn't mean to talk over you.
bball.notnothing.net.
Best I can tell, him or her has been using this mostly for basketball, I guess, for a while to figure out like how things would break out down the line. They've got the conference tiebreakers factored in here, including the idea that I did not even realize until I started playing around with this, that Alabama, which, by the way, is not going to get a lot of time here on this podcast because they beat Mercer. Congratulations. Their opponent's winning percentage is so strong that if they beat Oklahoma and Auburn, they should be set.
Yep.
Alabama, which lost to Tennessee, and Tennessee, which lost to Georgia, and Georgia, which lost to Alabama, and Georgia, which lost to Ole Miss.
It'll be easy to pick the rankings apart on Monday. We know that.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll do our best to project what's going to come from that a little bit later on in the show. Okay.